Um, if you heard bits of my voices on the our show bumper and so on, it's because you know not professional enough. Still getting to terms on how to be professional in doing a proper show. Apologies for that. But thank you so much for joining us on 420 grams, our Euro coverage. We're back after a 2-day break in the European Championships because last night the first of the quarterfinals were played out. In the first quarterfinal, Spain were given a scare, a mighty scare by Switzerland. It went down to penalties, and Spain thereby progressing to the semi-finals. And then in the second game, where everyone was saying Belgium versus Italy, and it was the Belgians, their golden generation, was handed a golden ticket to go back home by the Italians, who were looking so solid in that game. A lot of people were saying that, naysayers were saying that this Italian team has not been tested. Asli test mein tab pata chalega. Well, last night was the real test, and they came through with flying colours. To talk about these two games, we're joined by former India captain Randy Singh. We're joined by Supriya Bhatt, who's back on the show, joining us from Italy. Supriya, good to see you. And also, we're here with Siddhant as well. भाई आप नहा के आए, ये बड़ी अच्छी बात है. अच्छा लग रहा है कि आप तैयार होकर आए हैं शो के लिए. So have I. Just woken up and come. But Supriya, I'll start with you because everyone was saying, was that the chatter in Italy? Oh, you only played in Austria. Oh, you only played some minor kind of teams. When the real test will come, this Italian team won't be able to shine. Has that sort of chatter shut up a little bit, or the people still, saying that?
I actually think that it was a pleasant surprise. I haven't heard that much of the Italians are basically optimistic. I haven't heard that much of hey, we haven't been tested. Also, I guess coming off, I think we're at 32 games unbeaten currently.
Yeah.
Just with the kind of stats and the records we've had, people have been kind of like blind faith. I think, though, we all kept saying if France hadn't gone out, I would have rather lost to Belgium in the quarterfinal than France in the semi-final. We don't want happy French people. I'm just kidding. No, I think people have been gradually chugging along. The scenes yesterday from Rome and the piazzas was just, people were just jumping everywhere. The mask mandates, outdoor mask mandates got removed in Italy this week. So people are really celebrating. And they have a reason to celebrate this year as well.
Yeah, semi-finals. Annie bhai, who do they face now in the semi-final? Winner of who and who in the semis?
I've completely lost track of this.
They played Spain, right?
They
played
Spain.
Yeah,
Spain will play in the semi-finals.
Renati bhai, you would back them to beat the Spanish team because yesterday Spain showed for all your tiki-taka and moving the ball around outside the box. Once the ball is in the box to score that goal, वहाँ पे तो उनको बहुत problem हो रही है.
Yeah, I think Spain is struggling to score. They need a good number 9. Morata is not enough. Gerardo is not enough. So, but then they don't have. But the way they have been playing, but we have to give the credit to Switzerland also. And we know that how they have won against such a big team. For me, France and Italy were the best team of this whole tournament. So now coming out from that, I think it's not easy at all. But of course, yes, like you said, they were not creating enough. They were having all the possession that they wanted. But then that's a good sign for Italy, the way the Italy has been playing. But the sad thing is, one of my best player, Spinazzola, he can be man of the tournament, and it's sad to see him go. So I don't know if the left back who plays for Chelsea, when he comes, will he be able to take his place? I don't think so. So it will be a good match. It's not going to be easy though.
And he's such a crucial cog in the wheel for Italy, Randy bhai, Spinazzola going up. मतलब आप ये देखो, as soon as Bonucci ने ball छुई, Spinazzola is already in the opposition half, waiting for the ball.
Can you believe that sometimes we see him inside the box most of the time? So how many left wing back do you see in that position? But he, of course, yes, Dani Alves and Brazilian, they do that. But how many European teams, how many English wing back have done that? So we see those beautiful players. If they miss the match, I think Italy. I think it will be a very big headache for the coach. I think Mancini to bring in his position wherever he brings.
So Priya, people going nuts over Insigne, and have those Insigne car jokes stopped? That Insigne is delivering the match ball in his car after that goal last night.
I mean, what a goal! For me, top 5 of the tournament so far. Unbelievable stuff. And truly, I think that people we knew we had a great team. Everyone believes in Mancini, the work they've done, but the outstanding, the thing that they say the most on TV is just about how much of a team this is. When in Italy had superstars, when they were aging, when it was built around a couple of few superstars left, there wasn't this kind of unity. The boys really played together, and I think that's for the country in general, given what Italy's been through in the last year and a half, it means a lot. And people are just generally excited to see so much teamwork, a united team where they back each other. It's been incredible.
And Anibhai, here's the scary part of this Italian team, bro. So far, you've seen them play in that one mold of that attacking, free-flowing football, all of you bouncing at each other.
Yeah.
Come semi-finals, come finals. If this team needs to shut shop, sir, they've grown up in how to shutting shop, right? They might not have shown it in the tournament, but if they want to shut shop, they'll shut shop and वो आपको इर्द-गिर्द नहीं आने देंगे फिर, ठीक है?
Yeah. I mean, it'll be an interesting game against Spain. Yeah, I'm not sure how either side will approach it, to be honest. And what sort of, like Randy is saying, his top player for the tournament, Spinazzola, for most of us also as neutrals, he's the one providing so much of the attacking impetus and so much of that like edge. Nah? And against Spain, who are also going to probably keep the ball and do what they do. I don't know. They might just cancel each other out. It might be like.
But Randy bhai, if you're playing against Spain, you'd say, "Aap rakho ball. I don't have a problem. Keep the ball.
Yeah,
play around, do whatever you want to."
Yeah, but Spain never defend deep, right? We have seen in so many matches. Even after winning 3-1, I think when they played 3-3, when they went on a tiebreaker, they were not defending after. And when my father was watching the game, we were talking why 3-1 leading and just not defending deep a little bit, from the center line. But Spain, like you said, they will allow. So Italian will allow, but Italian, they can play the attacking, they can win the ball high, they can defend also. How many times we have seen defenders, celebrating after heading away, after crosses when they head away? Or suppose normally when a player, like I played for many years, and whenever we give a penalty as a coach, when my players give away the corner kick for a second, we think, shit, yeah, what's going to happen? But you see Chiellini, Bonucci, like bring it on. You can kick as many as you want. We are going to head it away. And those, how many times, how many teams do we get to see those kind of thing? And Italian is showing that defending is also an art. It's an art, and it's also a part of the game, and which we don't normally see in many other countries. You see, so strikers, they're all about scoring, and people are only thinking about who will score. But the way these people can defend, like you said, they can just close down, park the bus, not allow Spain. So they can play both type of games. So that's the advantage for Italian.
Both those games actually that day, both the 3-all games, and they're playing those balls. So if the fullback is running forward and kind of trying to overload, he's still being able to receive the ball in space, and it's hard to understand that kind of defending at that stage of a game. You're 2 goals up. There's like 5-7 minutes left on the clock. I mean, how is you're just allowing so much pressure to come?
And at 2-1, I get it, because you need to kind of make sure the game goes your way. But at 3-1, you can park the bus a little bit. And I think yesterday, Italy, first half, second half. First half was attacking magic, like you expect.
Yeah.
But the second half was defensive magic. And like Renedy said, at no point during any of the corners, I was extremely nervous. But I was nervous because I didn't want us to lose the game, not because I thought a goal was going to come from a corner, which is rare in big games. There's always a chance. Again, I think that the 4-3-3 has worked immensely well for Italy. We definitely need a good cover for Spinazzola, but with Chiellini back and Bonucci, and again, let's not forget that they played together at Juventus. So there's this good understanding between them. I think we're pretty golden. I do think Spain are due one kind of comprehensive victory. I hope it's not in the semi-final. Jordi Alba is Jordi Alba. I will say that notably, he's probably the only player I would be particularly scared of. But even 3 or 5 penalties for Spain after missing 5 penalties in the games prior is they duffed the first one. They were 6-0 at that point, their record for penalties. That's unreal. Look at Ronaldo and look at all of Spain.
So, really bad penalties, honestly. Some of the penalty kicks that were being taken, I know the goalies were coming up and doing the job. So half the job was left to the goalie, and they did it. But some really, really bad penalties in that game between Spain and Switzerland. Just a point on Chiellini and Bonucci. Renedy bhai, if you noticed, at the start of the Belgium game, what they were trying to do was play above them. तो उसको वो Lukaku पीछे जाएगा, try beating them on pace, try exposing that slowness to the game. But that lasted 7 minutes After that, sir, इन लोगों ने कहा आप हमें हरा दो आप 100 meter race में, हम positioning के हिसाब से आपको करने ही नहीं देंगे.
So good.
And after that, you never saw that long ball try to tactic and try to find Lukaku. Everything was then playing it down the ground, getting it by the center, going wide. So you're playing into the defense's hand after doing that.
I think they've covered really well, but they didn't try to win the ball. But you see, the best thing about Italian is they have got one player who can cover up Giorgino. So when Chiellini and Bonucci was defending from behind, but he was covering up all the ball, which is not in, he couldn't control much. You see, the guy, what's his name, the striker of
Lukaku.
Of the Belgium striker. Lukaku, he couldn't, like you said, for first 7 minutes, yes, he tried, but after that, I think Giorgino was covering all the ball and covering up all the ball, and he was sweeping it up, and he was playing the passes. So I think that guy, I said, when I look at the Chelsea game, of course, yes, he's a very important player, but I don't like much. But for Italy, he's also one of the, and like Supriya said, they are a complete team, and we talk about every single player. They're doing their work, they're doing whatever they have to do in their position. And there is no fixed position for anyone. You see Insignia moving wherever he wants to. But then someone is covering up for his in his position. So it's a complete team game, and if you talk about the keeper, all positions that they have been doing really well. But can we do that against Spain? That's the big question, but I think they can.
Yeah, Annie bhai, in Delhi football में कहते थे कि खा जाएंगे उसको. So Morata in front of Bonucci and Chiellini, वो खा जाएंगे उसको. They'll eat him alive and throw him away.
They also all play for the same team, right?
Yeah, they do. So they know him even better. And they do it day in, day out in practice. So Morata knows कि ये तो practice में भी मेरे से ऐसे करते हैं.
So this was my expectation for Lukaku, right? He spent the entire season playing against all these Italian boys, right? The Serie A is basically Italian. I think barring one player for Chelsea, most of Italy play in the Serie A. But with Lukaku, I noticed when he gets frustrated early, and unless he gets lucky later, and against a lot of the big clubs for the national side, he has pretty poor record, which is shocking for a guy who scored 42 goals this season. I think he's the second goal scorer in the Serie A, and he won into the Scudetto. But when he starts to get frustrated, you see this petulant kind of Premier League side of him start to come out, and I personally
the Man United side of his comes out.
Supriya mentioned the Premier League kind of, yeah.
The Man United side, sir. We don't talk about Arsenal on the show. We talk about everyone but Arsenal on the show.
But only like Italian people can think that the Premier League is petulant, but the Italians are not.
But I kind of agree. I kind of agree, bhai, because if over the last couple of years, and she said a very nice thing of how a majority of the team is playing your domestic league, right? And the domestic league has been on an upswing the last 5-6 years, and it's a known fact. Domestic league does well, it is bound to have a direct impact on national team. And that's happening.
And so many things, right? Have you seen how many goals have been scored by Serie A players versus La Liga? Even though they took Memphis Depay into account when I saw that, and that was a couple of games ago, La Liga had like 4 goals or 5 goals. And it was like, this guy hasn't even played for Barcelona yet. He's just been transferred. They're already counting him, and they were at 4 goals. I mean, Atalanta have been playing Champions League, and it's close enough. Like I said from last time, I think Lazio's up there. Milan are back in second position. Juventus is slowly coming back to, Juventus was in third, which is unheard of. Yeah. And you're right. The competitiveness and the change of style has finally reflected in the national team. Obviously, Mancini has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, close. I think six top clubs. Six top clubs, right?
Weber was
Atlanta, yeah.
Yeah. So not only does apparently he have these guys in the Italian team, but I think he's got 3 players in for Ukraine, if I'm not wrong, plus others. So
Gosens also Atlanta.
Yeah, him as well. So Atlanta have scored more goals at this tournament than I think all of the big clubs, which is
even the guy who got a red card yesterday plays for Atalanta, right? I forgot his name. He plays for Atalanta.
It's a bad red card, by the way. Really bad.
Again,
decision. It's a strange decision. You've gone and you've done video referencing. Post video referencing also, you said the red card stands. Ye kahan se bhai? He went in 2-footed, Randy bhai, but 1 foot was piche like this. You know, it's either आपका foot बाहर निकला, so you're going in to hit the guy.
For me, it's the same as the Sweden game, guys.
lot of football pundit were saying that was not a red card, but for me that was a clear-cut red card. You cannot do that.
पीछे था पैर उसका, दोनों पैर से तो गया नहीं है वो.
But just because the injury was not that bad, you know, people think that, but it could have gone worse. With that, it could have gone worse. For me, it was a red card. I feel that. Yeah.
Right. As a player, as a coach, and also someone who is a big part of, you know, the union and deciding policy in terms of, or like how to change maybe decision making to protect players better. Is this something that's changing? So the approach towards looking at tackles and fouls, like, is it a lot to do with what kind of impact it might have on the player who's sort of in the line of fire?
Yeah, I think you know, whatever the referee did yesterday was alright, because we cannot encourage players to do that, you know, and then otherwise it will be a very, very rough game. And players, that it depends on their game, right? So if they play, the players they are planning to play for 15 years and earn as much as you can, but your life can just go away in 1 year. So you have to protect the players, you know, even though the injury was not that bad, but it could have been. So I feel that, you know, those kind of protection is needed.
Itna pressure डाल रहे हैं players पे, saying that, like, you know, nothing matters more than winning, and like every game is so important. How do you kind of judge that or balance that?
The best example is Spinazzola. Spinazzola has been playing almost, you know, every match of the league, and after that, you know, the match he have played almost 90 minutes in all the matches they have played. So it's getting too much for the players, and we have seen so many injuries. So it's for the long league, and after that, because the game demands so much. So how many times, like we were talking about up and down, how many times you have to do that, but your body can't take it after some point of time. So we really have to be careful, you know, in playing the players. But like coach, even after getting injured, they want to win. The country wants to win, so you have to play. And look how sad he was, you know, a player crying like that. You know, he can understand once that he popped out, he knew that he was going to be out, and the way the form that he has been going, it's easy, you know. So I think the players have to be very, very clever, and then only Ronaldo can survive. But Ronaldo, being the best player,
subject of Ronaldo, can I ask you, do you think that was a penalty or the softest penalty ever on the subject of Ronaldo and penalties? Do you think that was a penalty for Belgium yesterday against Italy?
Penalty for Belgium.
But yeah, I think that was a penalty. Yes, Lorenzo was not clever enough, but you cannot do that inside the box. The last push that he did, you know, and I feel it's a penalty.
Yeah, that seemed like a penalty. It seemed like a penalty.
Also, Di Lorenzo was probably, for me, outside of Immobile, the poorest player on the pitch. With a penalty.
Lorenzo,
he wasn't.
Yeah, Supriya. Lorenzo had a tough time yesterday. If you see that he was so. Then I think he was the only player at Immobile. But Immobile, he didn't score. But we have to give a credit for the runs that he made. You know. But Lorenzo, yeah.
I think Verratti for me was the other one. He had a quiet impact on the game, but if you're putting in Berardi and you're going to play Locatelli, because that flow they had in the first two games, and I know we were playing Switzerland and not big clubs, but I was missing that flow. And I feel like since Verratti is back in that team, that Locatelli 1-2 hasn't been happening with Berardi, and I missed that. That I definitely missed yesterday.
Yeah, I was saying the same. That, you know, Locatelli there, you know, the game flow is more, the fluidity, it's more when Locatelli plays. No doubt Verratti is one of the best players, but you know, we have been talking about the same type of player. But then yesterday, you know, coach can feel that they're playing against Belgium, so we have to be compact a little bit. So that's why maybe.
Arsenal have officially submitted a bid for Locatelli. So there goes his career.
Yeah.
So वो डूबेगा sir, वो डूबेगा.
कभी नहीं आएगा इटली छोड़ के. कौन आएगा इंग्लैंड? खाना बकवास.
See, the thing, this is Arsenal's khasiyat. Arsenal's khasiyat is this: that they will not, whenever they go for a play, they'll submit an official bid. Even though that bid will be the smallest of the bids, they'll submit an official bid.
Juventus don't want to actually do a big cash deal. Arsenal are willing to put in some money. So if the clubs decide otherwise, because Sassuolo wants cash, we don't know. But it's rare that a famous or becoming famous pop star Italian is going to leave Italy to come to England to be not so famous and deal with the weather and the food. I think.
Yeah, so basically, if in 18 months' time, Locatelli is not starting for Italy, he's joined Arsenal. So that's his job is done.
Yeah,
We've done the job. We've done the job. But anyway, you brought up a nice point. See, on the thing of this muscle injury, right? Muscle injury tells you when fatigue is set in, and the muscle can't handle it anymore. So this was a jam-packed season, courtesy of COVID, and it lasted till 2 weeks before the Euro, and then came Euro, boom, boom, boom. Then again, your season's going to start, and straight away, World Cup. So you suppose this whole thing of increasing the squad strength, increasing the number of substitutions is something they'll have to carry on, not just in the domestic league, but also into the World Cup, so as to avoid muscle injuries. नहीं तो player तो गिरना शुरू करेंगे यहाँ पे. You're running close to 13-14 Ks at that speed.
Also, Italy goes on break for Christmas, right? England doesn't go on break. Italy doesn't play during Christmas.
Yeah, Italy doesn't play. Germany also.
No, but the thing is, it's good. It's good to have 5 substitutions, yes. But when you are a coach, if you are Mancini and Spinazzola is playing, but you will never take Spinazzola out in spite of, even if he is the player who coach wants to play all the time. So आपका substitution, आप दूसरा को substitute करेगा लेकिन उसको नहीं करेगा. So that's the problem even if you have 5. अगर 5 मिलने से आप अच्छा player को तो हाँ.
ठीक है. Yesterday, by the way, also one more since we touched upon it, I thought it was a great decision to start with Chiesa and not Berardi. Berardi is a little more direct at you, so he takes you on as a player. But Chiesa gives you so much movement, keeps on running in to the box.
It was also the game changer against Austria, right? When he came on, he scored the goal. Yeah.
And that also coming on so late in a game, let's say the 96th minute, and then to influence the game there, because everyone's on a different level at that time in terms of how the body's moving. You take time to get set into it and move into the rhythm. So he played really well. So Berardi coming on later on, I think Berardi could be a nice trick off the bench, because he's so direct. Coming to the 80th
really
minute or something. Plays really well with. But they didn't play Locatelli yesterday. No? Locatelli came on and he didn't come to play only the game.
He didn't come on. I was saying if we start Berardi, it makes sense. But I think when Locatelli is starting, watching these two guys play together has been really fun too.
This is insane. One of the standout players of the tournament did not play your quarterfinal. And you've gone ahead and dominated the other team, and you walked away. Nowhere did it look like Belgium was dominating or overpowering Italy at any time during that 90 minutes. So yeah, well done to Italy. Haji Randy bhai, aap kuch keh rahe?
But Belgium had their chance. They had their chance. We have seen how Bonucci missed in the center of the park. That mistake could have scored, could have been a goal. So Belgium had their chances, but they couldn't take it also. So Italy, yes, they played well, but they have to be careful, because I feel that Olmo from Spain is a very good player. He came on and sub, and then he assisted 2 goals. Even yesterday also, he couldn't do much, but then he was trying really hard. People talk about Pedri, very good player, Barcelona, but Olmo just playing in Croatia, no big name, but he is from a Barcelona academy, from Barcelona. So, but I think he's a very good player, Olmo. He have assisted 2 goals, and I think he's a very bright player.
I mean, Italy's defense was definitely tested yesterday, right? I mean, obviously, again, it was probably the biggest side we faced. Do I think that they came up short? No. But you could start to see a few of the cracks. And it's good because at least it was against Belgium and you have time to kind of regroup a little bit against Spain, who play a different style of football. I think that Italy were kind of lucky and Lukaku was massively unlucky. If not 1-2 goals, he should have scored for sure. One sitter completely missed. So I do think there was an element of luck. I do think the minute you're called the golden generation in football, already that tag is like hangs over you, and Belgium have never really been able to play up to that, even if you look at their squad. I saw a really funny meme though, at a certain point, and Djokovic, if you put them next to each other, they look like long lost brothers from the Mela. So at some point people were like, Wimbledon hi chal raha, what is he doing on the pitch? How is he here? So I do think Belgium were just unlucky basically.
Nice you touched upon golden generation, bhai, because how to say that this golden generation is over, it doesn't make sense, because no one can be over knowing that the World Cup is 18 months away. At whatever stage of your career you might be, you can pull through another 18 months. If you look at that Belgian team, I think only Vertonghen, उसके ऊपर आप question mark डालोगे कि ये खेलेगा अगला World Cup की नहीं. Other than that, And सर वर्मालन तो गुफा से आया है वो, हमें देखा ही नहीं हमने उसको 5-6 साल से. Vermaelen suddenly popped up on the ground.
He's in Japan, yeah.
The legacy of being an ex-Arsenal player.
Exactly. So yeah, so the golden generation is still here to stay, and they have another shot at it in Qatar.
I think so. Yeah, we. I don't know. Again, as coach, Renedy can probably add more to this, but we've become really ageist about this whole thing. कि like बंदा मतलब 28-29 साल का होता है और उसको आप write off कर देते हैं कि खत्म. मतलब समझ में नहीं आ रहा मुझे. When a guy is mentally and physically at
30 years old.
38. I almost fell down. I know Chiellini's looked about 45 like Robin used to since he was 25 because he has no hair. But Pepe is 38 years old. You saw him dominate and be so aggressive in that game. He didn't come up short. He's 38.
Yeah.
I think Chiellini he'll pull it through till the World Cup. Chiellini should, with less play. Of course, you have to manage. You don't have to train like a 19, 20-year-old. I think it all depends on the coach. I think Mancini knows it very, very well to how to use the old player because you don't train the same. You don't have to train every day. So these are the kind of thing I think the coaches have to do to make this player play.
And I think when you're young, hot and Mediterranean, hot-blooded, it's great to have a guy like Chiellini on the team to like sabr karo, to calm everyone down. And I think if nothing else, it's a really important role somebody for Italy has to fill. I'm just glad that Buffon is officially going to be so old that there's not a chance in hell he can make the World Cup squad. At least he has to officially give it all up.
So I like how quickly
average age of 40 at the back then.
Yeah. Not bad, na? There's always a chance, yeah. So yeah, golden generation for Belgium in two sports. Hockey as well as football.
Oh.
Yeah. From where no one really knows, but I think their structure on the ground is quite solid. A very high percentage of adults are members of clubs, right? And that's where the whole thing sort of starts from. If it works out in adulthood, then obviously it means kids are playing as well. They have thousands of little clubs, all who have their turf stadiums, etc., etc. So both sports doing really well, both in I think at the grassroots level, both in Holland as well as Belgium. And so yeah, obviously naturally lots of expectations there, and it's tough.
Like England expectations?
No, except maybe England expectations, but maybe more so because like they don't have so much else. Right, so club level, etc., Belgian clubs are not going to compete for the Champions League anytime in the near future. So maybe the pressure is a lot more when it comes to the country. And now with the Olympics coming up, there's in any case a focus on team sports and also all of these things.
Like you mentioned, at a youth level, scouting, you can start to see the impact of that, right? We keep talking about India and naturalized citizens versus who should be playing and what nationality is. But a lot of clubs, a lot of countries like Belgium have built really strong squads in the last 10 years, 8 years.
Yeah.
They have got a good academy system. If you see in Spain, Belgium, France, look at France team, because they don't have the best league. Everyone talks about Farmers League, but then they have a good academy system. So as long as you have good academy system, the players will come out through for sure. England has done well. Of course, England has been playing a boring game, but England academy the last few years they have done well. Just that they cannot play in the senior level.
रेडी भाई, आई फील ये गोल्डन जनरेशन बोल दिया, ये सब चीज ये कौन करता है? ये मैसेंजर करता है. मैसेंजर कौन है? जो बीच में हमारी तरह भोपू लेके बैठता है यहाँ पे, एंड ही ब्रॉडकास्टेड टू द वर्ल्ड, राइट? नाउ दे डिडंट आस्क to be called golden generation. Suddenly, we try putting it on them ki they are golden generation, last time for golden generation. Just like our captain over here, it's not like Sunil Chhetri has gone to Star Sports and said, call me captain, leader and legend. ये तो Star Sports वालों ने बनाया है बेचने के लिए. People can identify with that. So I feel a lot of these tags are generally, sometimes I feel we does the pressure. So did you ever have a name kind of thing, Renedy, right? And does that pierce through a team is what I'm asking you. कि हम तो यहाँ बैठ के बात कर रहे हैं golden generation ये वो.
It doesn't matter much for the players. Once the whistle starts, you forget everything. So I think it doesn't matter. Of course, yes, pressure is there, but then pressure as a team is there. So it's not. For me, even they call golden generation is people to talk, but golden generation what? Quarterfinal, World Cup, quarterfinal in Euro Cup. You have never reached a semi-final, so you cannot call it a golden generation. They are बैठा हुआ है बहुत 4 कप लेके 2 कप लेके Iniesta, Xavi. You can call them a golden generation, but until unless you prove, and players know that हम लोग quarterfinal पहुंच के भी हम लोग को golden generation कैसा बोल सकता है? So at least let the media talk. They have to, and players. I don't think they even think like that they are golden generation.
I actually think this is a really relevant point of view when you talk about England, right? Whether it's football, cricket, Wimbledon, the English media, tiny island, don't ever really win any World Cups, whether it's cricket, rugby, football, or pressure. The minute Southgate, ki kitni gaaliya, the first 1-2 games, Southgate, why isn't he playing Grealish? Why isn't he playing this one? So I feel like when you talk about pressure, even without calling anyone the golden generation in England, it is insane pressure. I mean, I live there. You read the press, and you shouldn't even be expecting anything from Tim Henman or usko बेचारे को Wimbledon winner pressure डाल दिया है. Andy Murray.
Tim Henman, just like Vermaelen, Hellman is back in conversation.
But good player.
What do you call a country where? I mean, England and Scotland play each other in the Euro, but when Andy Murray wins Wimbledon, it's like a British player has finally won Wimbledon, right?
Yeah.
And I think pressure, expectation really piles up. I think these young new boys for England, and I don't support them. I really don't want to see them say it's coming home. But some of the young boys, Saka, Rashford, I'm just happy for them. They brush off not only the racist abuse, but they also brush off this insane pressure on their shoulders for 23, 24-year-olds.
I think it's a anyway you understand this. It's a self-feeding system, right? कि आपने जी चाहे आप जानते हो Tim Henman is not going to win anything, but if you amp up Tim Henman and you amp him up in a certain way, it's going to lead to people buying your publications. It's going to lead to people having conversations around it, and that's what you want, because you want to influence people in the conversations they're having around certain players who your countrymen have a certain interest in.
Yeah,
it's like हमारा एक sports channel है, मैं नाम नहीं लूँगा क्योंकि छोड़ दिया है, but जब विराट कोहली साहब was he became captain. They decided very clearly, and that channel is known as Virat Kohli channel, because they went boom into everything about Virat Kohli. If there is, say, just for example, 10 hours of programming in a day, 3 hours of programming is dedicated to Mr. Kohli. Yeah, but then see from their point of view, bhai, they've built him up as this demigod or god who is on your screens always, Kohli. So the next time you Kohli does well, because the thing is, the chances of Kohli hitting a 50 or winning you a game are much more than any other player. So when Kohli does it for you, suddenly you saw the impact when we saw those 2 amazing games in the Euro. The next day, how many people came? More than 250 people came to watch our show. Yeah. And so it's just a self-feeding kind of system. जब आप जी भरते जाओ अपने side से, यहाँ पे people are getting influenced without even knowing it. That is the power of this medium.
भाई सेल करना है तो you have to create a hero तो create करना पड़ेगा, hero होगा भी नहीं तो create करना तो पड़ेगा to sell. So as simple as that.
But that's the thing, na Randy, by sport, in sport, such an organic thing that is sport, right? We all fall in love with it because it's something on merit. You go, you learn, you try to get better. Then suddenly you go into these broadcast places who are the middlemen to take that sport to various households. And I'm telling you, aapne ye baat kari, I've been in these meetings where saying, we need to build this hero up. We need to build his brand up. And you're left thinking, why are you adding this layer of fakeness or whatever that you're putting on top of it? But then that is the way it is. आप लोगों के अगर आईवी NFL में
sponsorship, simple question. Besides and look, you talked about Kohli. I will say Virat and the Indian team have backed up some of this, whereas Belgium and Spain, and that was the conversation, particularly Belgium for being called the golden generation, haven't been able to prove that they deserve the title. Kohli, hate him, love him, Team India, the last 12 years.
That is, Subhya, in a way, entirely the point that they're making, that like irrespective of what happens on the pitch and whether they go on to win the World Cup or not, it's still touted as a big thing, nah?
Yeah.
So like it's not
Absolutely. And in England they want to sell the Daily Mail and the Sun, but my question, I think, was in the Indian context, a lot of it has to do with sponsor power and marketing and branding and commercialization of sport. Absolutely. In England, commercialization of the Daily Mail and the Sun because you have these newspapers that have mostly male readership, at least the Sun or the Mirror, and therefore a lot of sport. In India, I guess the point is the IPL and all cricket is such big money games. So a lot of the branding, the advertisers, Kohli is their brand ambassador. There's also that commercialization level, I would guess.
Of course, yeah. It's a. I mean, it's not a polite term, but this is a full-on circle jerk. Matlab, you create entirely the kind of
So circle jerk.
conversation.
What does that mean? First time I've heard it.
I will not explain. but basically, when there's a bunch of people sitting around in a circle and like pleasuring one another, you know what I mean?
मेरा दिमाग वहाँ जा नहीं रहा था. I didn't think that you would give us that sort of connotation, but respect to you, sir.
But sir, this is what it is.
दोपहर के 1:30 बजे.
It's creating all kinds of where narrative creation becomes more important than actually what is happening, what the story is, and that's what you're constantly feeding. And this operates on all levels. Nah? It's not just sport. Sport becomes then the thing to kind of whitewash subjects, to distract people when there's a time of crisis. Basically, where you have these highly paid people to come and take all the flack and all the attention away from the guys who are supposed to be making important decisions that affect all our lives. So yahi chalta rehta hai, and in the end, it's the same 5-10 people who sort of control the entire narrative, who have all the gigantic media corporations who are selling this, right? For 2 days, Coca-Cola becomes the biggest story in the entire world. How? I mean,
No, so you're saying, are you saying there's a Milli Bhagat of Ronaldo saying कि किसी ने बोला, it can't be that,
maybe it's not so like sort of cut and dry, but you grow up in that system, you know very well. I mean, Ronaldo is very aware of what he's doing. Every time he walks from his maybe bedroom door to like the supermarket, he's aware that like hundreds of thousands of people are looking at him and observing him.
Let's Indianize this completely, by the way. For Fabrizio Romano, I follow him. I want to know what's happening in transfer season. He tied up with Sportskeeda, for example.
Yeah, he has.
Other people. And that just shows you the level at which social media, fan engagement, transfer season has become such a big deal that
like gossip. It's called gossip season also.
Yeah.
Gossip.
Listen, who did somebody sign yesterday? Pepsi retweeted Fabrizio Romano's tweet announcing one of the transfers yesterday. I can't remember what it was. I think I took a screenshot because I was like, Pepsi are retweeting this guy. Look at where things have reached. It's not the player. It's not the player's tweet saying, I'm so happy I'm at Roma or wherever. It was the guy who has all the leads being retweeted. Unbelievable.
It's just great. But there's another side to it. Randy bhai, you'll be able to answer this really well. I don't know if you guys were the golden generation, but you guys were one of that team, 2011 Asian Cup, building up to 2011 Asian Cup. You guys were one of those solid teams that India had put together after a long time. And you had, how do I put you? You had titles to show for it. You had wins to show for it, right? So it wasn't just amped up, hyped up. At that time, would you guys have wanted कि जितना हमें coverage मिला है, शायद और मिलना चाहिए.
To be very honest, we never used to get many live games. साल में कितना मिलता है? 2 या 3 या 4 sometimes. Maybe 1 year, 15 games after that. But now every match is on live. आपका pre-match, post-match. अब उस समय कहाँ होता था?
कुछ नहीं.
So of course, yes, we wanted.
आप लोग मैच जीतने के बाद अखबार देखते थे, बोलते थे यार ये तो बस इतना ही डाला है, इतना ही डाला है.
We read newspaper, and newspaper will be only in Calcutta because 1,03,000 people turn up, and Calcutta is a place where a lot of sports. Whenever we train, there are 15-20 reporters coming every day. But do you get to see them in Delhi? Do you get to see them in Goa? Nowhere. So
is it a double-edged sword though? Because eventually having a lot of coverage transfers into a lot of pressure. We've not reached peak get him out and hashtag Wenger.
No, we have.
Now we have.
Yeah, we have. But
outside of Calcutta and the Northeast. In the
city. Yeah. So we still need to, but again with ISL coming, abhi to itna pre-match, post-match, there are so many things, player ko itna hyped up. That's why itna hyped up kiya hai, and we have seen in we have seen in World Cup qualifying. So it's difficult for the players in one way. अभी उसको इतना उठा दिया है कि अभी players 1 or 2 match, 1-2 dribble, maybe 1 cross, and suddenly we start saying that भाई ये तो सबसे बड़ा player, and then suddenly reality दिखाई पड़ता है against Bangladesh, against Afghanistan. So players have to understand this, but I'm sure that's why we need to educate the players.
Yeah.
So in England, this is the problem England is facing, the English players are facing, but you don't have that problem in Germany, especially. Germany, they keep you grounded. So many things that we have to get in place.
I think there's only one solution, bhai, and you can order it. You can offer that solution. Ki make all these organizations as socialist organizations.
Yes, sir.
Cut out the profit motive.
Because you said one solution.
जाओ अपने झोले निकालो सब लोग, चलो बैठो साथ में.
Because you said one solution, the one solution is revolution, no doubt.
yeah. हमारी मांगे पूरी करो.
But the thing is, no one is, this gets misinterpreted a lot. And there were some interviews in the Indian press about this subject maybe a week ago or something, about how players are Indian players, because we talked about it on the show. There's a very definite context in which the money that they are earning is inflated or too much, right? So we are not saying that if you are creating an artificial environment in which everyone is making money, then why should the players suffer? We are 100% players should get a good chunk of that pie. And I think what is happening today is only maybe starting point. But it's a good thing that players are being able to earn a decent living wage. On the other hand, when that amount of money becomes large, right? When, like Randy Bhai is saying, आपने 2 dribble किया नहीं है, लेकिन आपका bank account इतना फूल गया है कि
कतर game की बात कर रहे हो आप? पूरा team कुछ कर रहा है. One player came, 2 dribble. Wow, that guy was the chat for the next 4 days. Look at this guy. Huh?
Not any specific players, man. And this is a consequence of, I think, a larger conversation or society where being rich and making that money is the only thing that is sort of equated with success. Then that's when these kind of I don't know, whatever it is get created, where the substance matters less than the idea of this hustle and success and blah blah blah, which all bottom line comes down to how much you're getting paid. Because we all talk about why is transfer market such a big thing? Why are guys sitting in India who have nothing to do with anything so obsessed with what's happening in the European transfer market? Because it's ridiculous. It's like video game levels of money being talked about, trading from one hand to the other, one club to another, and I mean, you forget almost entirely what it is that you're talking about and where football figures in the whole conversation. So
I think that's a huge part of it. But like you said, Germany, they stay grounded. I think the media and tabloid press and how the media is built also is very relevant. In England, you have this kind of tabloid high pressure. And in Germany, you have it less. Italy,
there is the Bild. The Bild, I think, is another gossip type tabloid.
The English are the masters of propaganda, man. They ruled the whole world for hundreds of years.
I wish I had the chat on, यार. हमारे दोस्त लोग जो देख रहे हैं, उन्होंने लिखना शुरू कर दिया होगा कि क्रांति भाई आ गया हमारा. It's time for revolution. Huh?
The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will be live.
Okay, I think it's a nice chat. Anything else, guys, before we go? Because we got a special video of the legend on us before we leave. So if anyone else wants to add anything, otherwise we'll move on to that final video and end the show. I think no one's talking about anything now. So producer Saab, could you please play that video of Renedy Singh showing you just how to curl it, not like Beckham, but to curl it like Renedy.
Oh, it's done.
Insignia.
You put Thierry on me to shame. I have to tell you, the Thierry video in Belgium was good, but this is next level.
Renedy bhai, just tell us the story of this. So when you're in training, I'm sure all these kids are saying, "Oh, Renedy Singh," because that aura has been built by people like us. Renedy Singh, the curling maestro, the free kick taker. Huh? वहाँ पे तो आपने बोलती बंद करा दी उनकी.
I think the current place is all because now I'm 42 now, but I still want to play. But whenever I get a chance to play a shooting game with them, and And when you are training for 3-4 months with the team, I think you get back a little bit, but not to the same. But it's always in a competitive mode. It's nice. But yesterday, why I've sent in our group, this is when Insignia took the shot. To get that technique, it takes years. But Insignia, if you see the whole tournament, he has been trying that curl yesterday, and even many matches he has been trying, but he got one yesterday. And to connect, it's so difficult. And with the instep, you have to swing it, not with the inside foot, So a very difficult technique, and after years and years. So I try and tell my younger lots that you have to train every single day. It's not like
आप ये क्यों कर रहे थे? आप ये क्यों कर रहे थे? वहाँ पीछे से कौन trash talk कर रहा था?
There were few players we were challenging that हमने कर सकेगा कि नहीं सकेगा. I said अगर तीन बार में अगर 3 in the row में अगर मार सकता है तो that's not a fluke. तो मैंने बोल रहा था ये fluke नहीं, 3 बार में 3 है.
वैसे आपने you said it takes years to master that craft. सच में बताएं, उस वीडियो में ऐसा लग रहा था कि आप अभी मारी बिस्किट खाया है और आप बस आए हो शॉट मार के चले भी गए हो. This was during East Bengal season last year, right? In the build up to ISL.
Yeah.
And not to sort of make a thing out of it, but like, so they got a set piece coach, right? A dedicated set piece coach, and when you have a set piece coach and someone to execute, then imagine how much the kids get to learn. Yeah, just all these young boys who are hanging around at practice and just trying to get their game up to that standard where all of these conversations are not happening, where they what they are earning, what they are doing is justified, and I think they're trying, Randy, bhai.
Yeah, no, of course the kids are trying. Yes, the younger lot, they're trying. They are living a better life. They are more professional than what we were in our days, and they're eating well. They are living a good life, and they have been training. I can see that, but they should be training more with the ball. And we cannot copy David Beckham, or we cannot copy the best free kick taker of the world. But you can develop your own kicking style. Insignia has got his own style, and the other players, Pirlo has got his own style. So, but then if you kick like thousands and thousands times, then only you can develop your own style of kicking. And that's what I want to say to the younger lot, So kick more and you will get it.
Did you see the video of Thierry Henry in training in Belgium when the boys were basically like, this one guy is around this golden generation team? Your video is very reminiscent of that, but completely with your own style and incredible talent.
Randy, I have just one final question. When you have you and Stephen Dias in the same thing, how many free kick competitions and curling competitions are going on in practice between the two of you, and who would win?
That's the best thing about Bob Houghton. So we were allowed, some coaches do allow after training to train on our own, on our free kicks. That's why we got many goals from set pieces. Stephen is also one of the best free kick taker in Indian team. So now we used to kick like 40, 50, 60 or 100 every single day after the match. So coaches allow us to do that, and we get it. And we see, how many free kick goal that we have seen in this tournament. Not many this time. Mm-hmm. So even the player, the millionaire, they are not scoring this much. So you can see it's very, very difficult. You may kick 4 times in a training, but in a match with tense, with atmosphere, it's very difficult. And when you are tired, it's not the same. So you cannot generate the same power or the timing. So it's a difficult one, but you keep kicking, you get it.
Perfect. Guys, a lovely conversation. Also, here's a perfect example of how you amp up a free kick. We've been talking about it for the last 5 minutes. We've called it the curl. We've called it everything. This is called amping up. Hey, this is the power of the messenger. This is a perfect example. Lovely conversation, guys. Just a reminder that we'll be back again tomorrow at 1 p.m. On break days, we don't do shows at 1 p.m. So on break days, what we're thinking is we'll do something on Indian football. So hopefully when this break comes between the next 2 semi-finals, we'll try doing something on Indian football. Until then, thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.
My prediction, please. Prediction.
No, prediction.
Please.
Annie, bhai.
Annie's
been barred. Annie's been barred.
Annie का prediction क्या था? Annie last का did he?
Last का तो कह रहे हैं ना कि नहीं, Italy. Fortunately, Italy are the only team from my original top 4 that have made it to the top 4. But now England are going to win, bhai, because.
Listen to me. No. If the only way England get to win, if the only way England get to win is like having Ukraine and having. I mean, this is the way it comes home.
Listen, don't belittle Ukraine, guys. मजा
I'm
नहीं
not
आया।
belittling. What I'm saying is England is the only country on earth that says it's coming home. यार सब बोलते हैं तुम घर जा रहे हो, हार गए. England बोलता है it's coming home.
but Annie's playing a ploy. Annie's ploy is that if I pick England, they won't win.
They will lose.
Because his prediction has been so bad.
Sam, and thank you for not being an Arsenal fan anymore from this year.
But it's like the Calcutta theory, na? It's always so everyone thinks home is a different place for everyone, right? उनको लगता है फुटबॉल का होम वेम्बली स्टेडियम है, बट हमें पता है नहीं है।
अभी सब रायगढ़ लेके घर जा रहे हैं. England is the only one who says it's coming home. The Italians say you've gone home, a casa. Go home.
They're going to have a tough time tonight. They will have a tough time tonight. It's not going to be easy. Yes, they may win, but Ukraine is not going to give.
So I think the game of the night is going to be Denmark Czech Republic.
Yeah. Denmark Czech Republic is the game to watch for sure.
Yeah. Czech Republic, sir. Czech Republic.
I'm just looking forward. Yeah.
Yeah. What a player, Patrick Schick. Arsenal sign him. I couldn't have said more on this show. What a player. Guys, once again, thank you so much for your time, for joining us on the show. We'll be back again, same time, same place at 1 p.m. Thank you once again, and goodbye.